Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of feel like everyone and their nan has made a book nook at some point. So I think it's about time I joined the club. The first thing that comes to my mind when making a book nook is that it probably has to be Lord of the Rings related. And weirdly enough, after I'd been out and bought this wooden box to make my book nook with, I found these little guys inside.
No way!
Now, these definitely aren't leftovers from a previous Lord of the Rings build, which you can check out here if you're interested. But for the scene that I had in mind, we're only going to be using Gandalf, so it doesn't really matter that there's a few hobbits missing. And the scene in question is that really famous one from Fellowship of the Ring. You know the one, of Gandalf in the Mines of Moria. The one everyone always talks about.
You shall not pass!
No, I mean the other one. The one when he's just walking down that staircase.
If you die, Nook, always follow your nose.
I feel like this scene is going to add a nice sense of depth to this piece, like all good book nooks should. And at the same time, it should be fairly recognisable. Plus there's not going to be so much going on that I can't quite fit it all into the limited space in this box. So with that all in mind, I removed one side of the box to create the window that this piece is going to be viewed from. And after removing the hinges and splitting the box into two pieces, I could then start to try and figure out the best starting point for this piece using Gandalf as my reference. So I started by marking out where the entrance to the stairway would eventually be. This is going to be the easiest place to start, and everything else I can build around this central piece. Then I shaped a few offcuts of foam and used them to block out the area behind the entrance. This should add to the illusion that there's another hallway behind the entrance and it's not just floating around in space.
Space!
Then I took some more foam and roughly cut out the shape of my staircase using the hot wire cutter. And I'm not too worried about making this cut overly perfect because I want the stairs to have that sort of aged, weathered, stony look. Then using my hot wire cutter and a pretty blunt utility knife, I could then come in and etch in all of the stone steps.
Up the stairs we go.
And after giving the steps some more definition with some sculpting tools and a hobby blade, I could then move on to add in the rocky interior walls of the mine. I figured the easiest way to do this would be to sketch out a rough profile on a piece of foam. Then once I've got it cut to size, I can use this as a template to create the rest of the walls. I just make sure to give each piece a little bit of variation to the one that came before it, just so everything doesn't look too uniform and a little more natural. Then I could lock all of the foam pieces into place with a good amount of white glue. And when it was all dry, I awkwardly cut the foam pieces right down the middle so it was a little bit easier for me to work on down the line. And once I glued my staircase into place, I could then start work on adding some more texture to the interior walls. This is another pretty easy step and there's not really a lot to go wrong. It's just a case of cutting and shaping the foam to give it a nice natural rocky texture. I like to start out using a blunt utility knife for the big cuts, then I add in some more definition with a sharper hobby blade. Then I can remove some of the harsher angles with a stiff brush, and finally add in a few deeper recesses with some sculpting tools. And once I'd filled the gap between the wall and the stairs with a little bit of tin foil, I could then give the walls on the other side the same rocky texture treatment. And after not too much time at all, I was left with something that was starting to look more like an ancient dwarven mine.
And they call it a mine.
Which meant it was time to move on to the next step and cover everything in a texture paste. And my go-to recipe for this is one I've borrowed from Boylai Hobby Time. And this recipe consists of casting plaster, matte Mod Podge, acrylic paint and some water, all mixed into a brushable consistency, just so we don't lose all of that detail that we've put into the foam. This stuff's perfect for this job because not only does it give everything a nice rocky texture, it's also going to help protect the foam to any paints that we might add down the line. So big shout out to Mr. Hobby Time for this technique.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
So once I'd finished applying the paste, and I'd helped it along a little with the drying time, I added a little extra texture to the tinfoil parts using some fine sand and some wooden Scenics ballast that just got locked into place with some PVA glue. And once that was all dry, I was ready to start painting, and the first step was to give everything a coat of primer. Then it was on to a second highlighting layer with some of Vallejo's white primer. And I tried to apply this a little heavier around the entrance to the staircase because that's where the only light source is going to be coming from. And to colour the rocks, I started out with a medium grey wash that got applied over all of the surfaces. Then I introduced a couple of different brown tones in a few selected areas. And then just to tie everything together and highlight some of those recesses and shadows, I used a heavily watered down acrylic ink that I brushed across the entire rock face. And once that was all dry, I finished up by dry brushing on a few different grey tones. And once I was happy that the rocks were looking more, well, rocky, I could then put the piece to one side and turn my attention to the wizard that's going to be calling this book nook his new permanent home. And one of the many cool things about Gandalf is his staff, and the fact he can use the crystal in the end of it to illuminate the way for the Fellowship on their journey through Moria. But unfortunately for me, my local hobby store was all out of magic crystals, so I'm going to have to make do with this tiny Gandalf-sized LED. But before moving on and giving Gandalf a much needed paint job, I decided to print out some of these spooky little fellas just so Gandalf had a little more company. And I got to admit, I do feel kind of bad for this guy on the left who's just sitting there holding his severed leg. I guess that's why you don't mess with goblins. And those of you who have watched any of my other videos probably know by now that painting isn't my strong suit. And this time round I'm going to push myself to try and do this the proper way. No contrast paints, no speed paints. And I'm hoping this job's going to be made a little easier with this dry brush set I received from Artify. They've been kind enough to send me this 5-piece premium dry brushing set to test out on one of my builds, so hopefully it's going to make my life a little bit easier when it comes to painting these miniatures. I'll make sure to pop a link down in the description of this video if you're interested in checking these brushes out for yourself. But for now, it was time to start getting some base coats down onto Gandalf, starting with his robes. Making sure to use that all important technique. Then it was on to establishing a few early highlights by dry brushing on a lighter grey. Then it was just a case of blocking out all of the main colours and making sure just to take my time and keep everything nice and tidy. Then the next step was to introduce a few washes to try and establish some more of those shadowed areas. I took my time with this and just made sure not to let the wash pool up too much in any unwanted areas. And then just to finish up, I gave everything an appropriately coloured round of highlights, just still trying my best to keep everything as tidy as possible. And I made sure to take advantage of the dry brushes when it came to applying the highlights to the cloth material, like Gandalf's hat. Then I followed these same steps across the finer details of this model, like Gandalf's belt buckle and his scarf. And all that was left to do was pick out the tiny silver details, and I think Gandalf was just about ready. And I know this may not be the best paint job in the world, but I'm fairly happy with it. And besides, by the time he's sat at the back of the book nook, it might not be so easy to spot the mistakes. And lucky enough for me, the skeletons were a little bit easier to paint. I started by giving them all a base coat with a dark brown colour. Then I came in with a pretty heavy overbrush with a bone colour, and followed that up with a sepia wash. Once the wash had had some time to dry, I finished up by applying some final highlights with a light brown bone colour. And while I was still in the painting mood, I thought it might be quite a cool idea to have a little golem figure skulking around the top of the corridor. And I found this really cool STL file for free on Thingiverse that's going to be perfect for the job, and I'll make sure I link it down below. And Golem's paint job was pretty straightforward, just like the skeletons. I started out with a dark grey base coat before giving everything a purple wash to bring out the shadows. Then I finished up with a couple of rounds of dry brushing just to imply some highlights. And with the majority of the painting done, I could then move on to fitting the battery pack, the switch and the wiring. And after realising I was probably using the wrong saw for the job, I quickly switched over to a cut and wheel in the Dremel and removed the section at the back so we can have access to the batteries. Then I drilled out and tidied up a hole at the top of the piece that I could use to house the rocker switch. And after fitting in place a couple of pieces of foam that I could stick the battery pack to, I could then start to figure out the rest of the wiring. Starting by threading Gandalf's wires through to the back. Before using a good amount of super glue to permanently lock him into place. Then I added an extra LED at the back to illuminate the hallway before wiring up the rest of the circuit. And at this point, I also decided to add an extra hidden LED in the rocks, just in front of Gandalf. Hopefully this is going to make it look like there's a little more light bouncing off of the rocks from his staff. And the wires were pretty easy to blend in using a little bit of ground texture paste. And once that had had some time to dry, I just blended it all together using the same painting methods as I did on the rocks. Then with a few dabs of super glue, I could come in and lock in place those creepy little skellies. Oh, and not forgetting our peeping golem sat at the top. And I also found the time to print out some tiny dwarven weaponry to accompany the dead skeletons. These all just got painted off camera and then got held into place with a little bit of super glue. And as always, I'll throw a link down in the description for these if you want to check them out for yourself. And once I quite literally had everyone in their final resting places, I could come in with a good amount of wood glue and fit together my rocky sandwich. And after a couple of hours of drying time, I tidied up the whole box with some sandpaper, before turning my attention to trying to make that front view and window a little bit nicer to look at. I'm going to try and frame the front end of this piece with some of this pine edge moulding that I picked up at a hardware store. All I needed to do was cut the strips to length and then add in the 45-degree miter joints. Then I could come in with my square and set each joint with a little bit of wood glue. And after a little bit of tidy up, I took, yep, you guessed it, more wood glue and set the frame in position on the front of the box. This did leave me with a bit of a gap at the top and the bottom, but I quickly mixed up a small batch of sculptor mould to fill the gap and blend between the rest of the rocks. And once I had all the sculptor mould painted and blended in with the rest of the rocks, I could finally move on to the finishing touches. And although this pine finish is quite nice to look at, I kind of feel like it needs to have a bit more of a rustic look. And rather than leave it outside for 2 years and wait for it to get a naturally weathered look, there is a little shortcut you can do. And that involves using some of the finest steel wool you can find and letting it rest in a glass jar with some vinegar for about 24 hours or so. I'm using some white distilled vinegar here that I've heated up on the stove just to try and speed up the reaction I'm looking for. And I made sure to do this when my wife was at work because the whole house did stink of vinegar for a while. The vinegar is going to slowly react with the steel wool to produce iron acetate. And when we apply this mixture to the wood, it's going to react with the natural tannins that are contained inside the wood and cause them to oxidise. The same way that they would naturally out in the sun, but we're just going to speed the process up a little bit. And because pine is one of those woods that naturally has a lower tannin count, I need to add some more to get the reaction that I'm after, so cue the good old British cup of tea. Black tea is something that contains these tannins, so we can use it to add some more to the wood, as long as I can resist drinking it while it cools down. Then it's just a case of giving all of the wooden surfaces a coat with the black tea and letting it dry out naturally. And 24 hours later, I could remove the steel wool from the vinegar and filter out any of the finer parts, and then this mix was ready to apply to the rest of the wood. And although the reaction isn't instant, after about 20 minutes or so of being left outside in the sun to dry, we're left with this really nice patina, and I think this suits this piece really well and gives it that nice aged look. And for the final finishing touch, I designed this plaque in Tinkercad, which I then 3D printed and painted in a similar style to the wood. And once I'd fitted it into place with a few dabs of super glue, this piece was ready for its glamour shots. And that's going to pretty much do it for this video. So as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.